Hi everyone, it's TanyaMFK here with your 52 Weeks of Momentum lesson recap. If this is your first time, welcome. I am Tanya Marie Figueres-Preisinger, more easily known as TanyaMFK. I am a member of Benjamin Hardy's 52 Weeks of Momentum course, and I come here every week just sharing what I'm learning, the insights, and all the great stuff, so you can get a piece of your momentum with me. So this is in no way a substitute for the course, most obvious reason being I'm not Benjamin Hardy. But if you did miss your sign up, and you're waiting until next year, then you can tag along with me and see what I'm learning. It's a lot of awesome, amazing stuff. And then make sure to sign up next year, okay? So we are in week 27, right? We're just hustling along here, right? In the middle of the year now, we got, a little less than 6 months to go. And one of the concepts that we visited this week was forcing functions. Now, this has been a theme. We have heard about the concept of forcing functions since the beginning of this course. It was really something when we first addressed our goals and set up, our whys and what we were really focusing on for this year. Forcing functions was part of that. Now, if this whole concept is new to you, it's totally okay. We're going to dive into it a lot deeper. So let me first go into what our definition of a forcing function. So what is it? A forcing function is any task or activity that forces you to take action and produce a result. Right? To produce a result. It's putting yourself in a situation or making a commitment that leaves no alternative other than the thing you want to do. It's about removing options that keep you from doing the thing you want to do. Now, one amazing example that Benjamin Hardy mentions a lot throughout this course is it's a story, I believe, of some like warriors or something, like some army that was coming to invade or resist. Honestly, I don't know what they were doing. But the point was they were coming for some sort of battle. And when they got to the place where the battle was going to take place, they burned their ships. They burned their ships. They were like, look, there's no other way than us going through and making this happen. And we're either going to make it happen or it's not going to happen. But there's no alternative. There's no getting back on that boat and taking off. Right? That's it. There's no other alternative other than going forward and making this happen. Right? That's like kind of crazy extreme. Like, but that's the level of commitment. Like that is a great example of putting yourself in a situation where there's no other alternative. Right? So that's really what forcing functions is. Now, most people, what they do is they wait until life places them in some sort of situation. They wait until something happens. They're like, holy crap, like, what am I going to do? And then they figure out what to do, right? That's the amazing part about humans. Like we don't think we can handle something. We don't think we can do it. We're like, oh, it's too much. And then when life throws the curveball, when life is like, really? How about this now? All of a sudden, we're able to figure it out, pick it up, and make it happen. In the face of adversity, in the face of defeat, and all these things that can be so hard and like seem just, like mountains of difficulty, make it happen. Well, what about taking that, like rolling it back, making it a little easier by implementing it ourselves on things that we've said we want to do? So what I want to talk about, and really, what we talked about this week was just forcing function itself and how great it is to use it. So I want to dive a little further and talk about a couple of ways to try to implement forcing functions. So the first way to do this is deadlines, right? Really simple, really easy, is setting a deadline for something. Now, again, we tend to work with these when they're implemented on us. And again, you may notice you tend to get it done within that deadline. But when we choose the deadline, when we choose the time and say, okay, I need to do this thing, and it can be sometimes the simplest thing. I need to make a phone call to do this, right? When you just say, it's got to be done, it's going to be done Thursday, it's got to be done by Friday, whatever it is. Now it's a deadline. Now there's like a sense of urgency. And it doesn't matter if you're setting the deadline from now or 6 months from now, you're going to notice your actions change. When it's given something real, when it's given a time frame and it's like, this has to be done by then, all of a sudden you'll notice yourself like taking the actions and doing the things, right? It's like that whole subconscious thing, which we've talked about a lot, right? So setting a deadline. There's a great, I saw this great quote, I don't know if it's a quote, but something that someone wrote, and it said, setting deadline builds pressure and pushes you towards doing something, right? It sets things in motion because you see the timeline that it needs to be done by, right? It's simple as that. But again, it's like Jim Rohn says, something simple to do is just as simple not to do. So it's so easy for you to look and go, okay, yeah, I got all this stuff to do, and just kind of leave it at that. But when you look and say, I got to do that, but okay, this has to be done by Thursday, and you just start giving it like deadlines, you're going to watch that to-do list get done, right? Deadlines. Amazing. Super simple to implement, right? So next one, investing. Now, investing, when you put your money into something, you're committing to it. It changes the whole dynamic of what you're doing, right? People, for the most part, tend to finish school when they're paying for it, right? You tend to finish courses when you're paying for it. You tend to show up for that trainer when you're paying for it. It's amazing because so many times in life, people are like, oh, God, it'd be awesome if like I had a trainer. Like, let's go with that. I had a trainer. And I've heard so many stories from entrepreneurs that I've worked with where like, I've offered free sessions. I've had friends. Ramit Sethi, if you're familiar with him, he's big. He's a big guy in the entrepreneur marketing space. And he tells about how he was doing financial planning and like helping with people with finances. And he would offer people and people would say, oh yeah, I totally want that. I totally want that. And every time he'd get the meeting set up, or set up like a lunchtime, he was like started out in college, no one would show up. No one would show up. This guy, people pay a lot of money to meet with him now. But the thing is you say that, you do that, people, and then they don't show up. They don't follow through. But as soon as you put your money where your mouth is, your money where your intention is, all of a sudden, you're pushing yourself, right? And really, investing in yourself in general is a great thing to do, whether, the monetary situations, it can be small, it can be large, but we need to do that. But when we've put the money into it, when we've really like said, okay, this is important to me, we're not only doing that, right? Something that kind of affects our wallet or affects our day-to-day, but it's a mental thing that also happens there. There's a switch that comes in and clicks and tells your mind like this is important, this is commitment, and it starts to put your actions and things in the forefront. Right? Again, making that investment, doing something. This is another way to implement that forcing function. So another one is removing alternative choices or distractions, right? Removing alternative choices or distractions. So a lot of times we have this thing where we're like, oh, I totally do it, but I need to get to this or I need to do that. Like there's something else could be done or there's another distraction. So this could be as drastic as quitting your job. So you have no other thing to do other than like the side hustle, right? The side business or the business, the thing that you're trying to do, the dream, right? You're like, I have no other excuses. I don't have to go to work. I have to do this, right? I have to make the money now. I have to make this work because nothing else is there. There's no more parachute, right? It's like burning the boats. So that's a big one. That's kind of like, right? But there's also something as simple, again, like setting up the trainer or, what else? I'm trying to think. Really, there's so many different things. So you could, like turning off the notifications on your phone, right? Like, hello, I have nothing else to do. I'm not going to get distracted by that. Like, I'm shutting it off. I'm turning off the distractions. So like you're removing alternative options. Another great one is taking all the junk food out of your house. If you're like, I'm going to eat healthy. So you tell yourself, I'm going to eat healthy. And then you just have like the ding dongs and the things sitting around the house. Okay. So how easy is it to make the wrong decision? How easy is it to just give in, right? But if you remove all other options, right, all you're left with is all the healthy stuff in the house, then that craving comes, a situation comes, and that's all you got left. Like you have no other options. I have totally done this, right? When I was younger and I used to work really late at night, because that never happens anymore. I was eating really healthy, but of course you get this like kind of snack attacks. You're in the middle of working, and I was like, I'm just so gonna grab on something, and I would run to my pantry, and the worst thing I had, and really it wasn't worse at all, walnuts and raisins. And I would eat a lot of them, right? Granted, they maybe were higher calorie, wasn't something I was supposed to be like shoveling, but it wasn't Doritos, it wasn't anything else, because I had no other choice. There was nothing else in the house, right? That was a forcing function. It forced me to eat healthy. Even if I went a little overboard, it was a lot better choice, and I had no other choice. So forcing functions in that way. And I want to actually share just a little story about that really quick. Some of you may or may not know, I lived in China for 9 months and studied Kung Fu at the Shaolin Temple. And, just normal stuff. As I was getting ready to do that, I was putting on my stuff in storage. I got rid of the lease on my place, and I had to cancel all my bills. So one of the things I had to do was cancel my cable. Now, if any of you based in the US or anything like that have ever had to cancel your cable, they really want to like follow you to where you're at. They're like, no, there's so many ways that you can still use us, right? They're really like on it. So when I called, I was like, I need to cancel my cable. And she's like, oh, where are you moving to? I can check it for in your area. And I was like, I'm moving to a small village in China. Are you there? Obviously they weren't. So of course, she was very nice. She got me there. She's like, may I ask, like what is it for work? Everyone assumes it's for work. Oh, is it for work? I was like, no, I'm just gonna go live in a temple and study kung fu. And she was like, wow, like how's that? And so I started chatting with her a little bit. She was, doing my cancellations and kind of explaining to her what I was doing, but also the inspiration for it and just taking the time now for my life. And I mean, that's a whole other story I can go into, right? But it was a choice I made. It was like in the middle of a lot of great things going on in my life. But I kind of seized that opportunity to just do it. Getting rid of my house and putting myself in storage, that was definitely a forced function as well. And as I talked to her about it, she's like, man, I've always had this idea about a business and we have this great thing. And I've talked to my husband about it, but, I just never know when the right time is. And, I have my job and I'm not sure what to do with it. And so I asked her, I was like, what would happen if you came in tomorrow and through no fault of your own, everyone was laid off. Business was like, look, people keep canceling their cable because they're moving to China and, we can't keep up anymore. So everyone's fired, right? Everyone's laid off, whatever. Would you go walk out the door and sit in the gutter and be like, well, that's it. That's all there is left. It's just give up. Right? No, of course, no one does that, right? Everyone's like, I guess I have to figure it out. I was like, so instead of waiting for a situation like that, why don't you make the choice? Why don't you make the choice under your, in your like comfortability, if you will, to put yourself in a situation where you have to figure it out, right? I can do what I can figure out. Because the fact is you're always going to be able to. You're always going to. We get comfortable and we need that push, right? So I say all that story to say, she had this whole realization. I think she was like, I'm going to quit my job. It wasn't necessarily my intention. I just wanted to cancel my cable. But she saw the difference is that it can happen anywhere in your life. The only difference is, are you going to be the one to choose it or someone else? You're going to figure it out. There's always going to be a way to figure it out, right? So forcing functions is about removing alternative choices and distractions. So the next one is events. Now, an event, depending on your situation, the thing that you're trying to achieve, setting up an event is another way to do a forced function. It could be that I've always wanted to gather people together who all like to play ukulele, right? Maybe you're like, I'm going to set an event. I'm going to set an event for ukulele players. Maybe it's like a meetup. If you guys are familiar with meetup, right? People have similar interests. You go and set it up. You go, you know what? I'm going to go do it. And then it forces you to work backwards from there. Forces you to figure it out, right? Forcing function. That's our theme, right? So I'm a living, walking, breathing example of that, as we have a workshop coming up. And when we decided to do it, we literally chose a date that we happened to be available and be in California and said, okay, we're doing a workshop then. And we let everyone know we were doing a workshop and then figured it out from the way back. It was a forced function to get in there and just do it. Because if we talked about it, figured it out, created it, it could be like, well, I don't know if I like it. Let's just, let's do something else. But now we have to. It's there. The commitment's there. It's happening, right? That was a forced function based on an event, right? We're putting on this event. If you're in California, come check us out. So that's another one. The next one, another way to implement this forcing functions is meetings, right? And this is another really simple one. And the example that I was able to think of was, say you've been thinking about financial planning, right? You want to do an IRA or save for retirement, something, right? You want to invest. So you've thought about it. Just call the financial planner, the 1-800 number, whatever it is. Doesn't have to be like the most researched guy. It doesn't matter, really. Just set up a meeting. Set up the meeting. Have the conversation. Get the first step of making it real and just setting up the meeting. There's no commitment. You're not even saying you're going with this person, you're going to invest, but it's about setting the meeting to make it happen, all right? This can happen in so many easy areas of your life. I've been meaning to talk to a friend. Set up the meeting. I've been meaning to, learn about, learn an instrument. Set up a meeting with the teacher or whatever, the place, that I have a call set up to chat with them about the lessons and if they even work, right? Because that is just a way to force you to take that next step, right? That's a really easy one. It's just set the meeting, right? It's a safe one too. So I love that one. Next one is schedule time. Seems easy enough. Schedule the time. Set it aside. I've been wanting to read. I've been meaning to do this. Guess how much easier it is to do something when you have the time to do it. So this idea that you're going to find time is really a farce, because what happens is stuff finds time, and it's so easy to fill it. You have a lot of time. That's a whole other subject we can talk about. A lot of us have more time than we really, really realize, but stuff finds its way into it. So what we need to do is we need to choose the time before other stuff finds it. We need to say, no, this is for this. This is set aside. This block is here, and it's for this, right? So schedule the time for these things. Give it a home, a place to exist, and you'll be surprised how much you do. Now, when you've set that time aside, it really does kind of force you in a lot of ways to stick with that. You're like, I've made this time available specifically for that. And part of the, for lack of a better word, regret might be there, where you're like, oh, I set this time aside for this. I really should do that, right? Instead of I don't know, waste it, be on Facebook, whatever, right? You schedule that time. So this is another easy one and a great one to do. Very simple, but also simple not to do. And lastly, one that Benjamin Hardy mentioned in this last lesson I really liked, and he called it habit stacking. Now, for some of you, you may have already found habits that work for you. Now, if you're following along, most of you have identified a morning routine and parts of that morning routine that you're really set in now, that really work for you and you're consistent in. So as you may try to bring in a new habit, or expand or address something different, say you wanted to make sure to work out every day, and you're doing really good at that right now it's really set, and the next thing you want to try to do now is read 30 minutes a day. So you're finding yourself I'm making sure I have the time to work out because I really enjoy working out, but I just haven't figured out how to get this reading time in. So the habit stacking is, you can't do the workout, right? You can't do the thing that you're used to doing, the thing that you now enjoy, until the other thing is done. Right? You can't do it until the other thing is done. So a way that I did this years ago when I was working on getting in shape and doing all that before I had a baby and all that fun stuff, I was really focusing on drinking water. And I had these little rules of how much water I had to drink before my next meal. And I would actually pre-pour them so I could see them. I'm very visual, so I would see it all. And sometimes I would be really behind on my drinking water, and I'd be really hungry. And lunch was right here, and the water was right there. And it was nope, the rule is I can't have the meal until this section of water was done. And I had it for each one. It was a certain amount of water with breakfast, water with a snack, water with my lunch, water with my dinner. But I had to have it. It was the permission. I had to do it. So that's a really, hopefully, easy visual of habit stacking. And so trust me, I found a way to drink that water as quick as I could because I was hungry and I wanted to eat lunch. So habit stacking was a super awesome way to make those things come together and work for you. So this week, I would challenge you to figure out the thing that's been sitting around, needing attention, wanting to get done, wanting to figure out, wanting to address, add to your life, whatever it is, and choose one of these forcing function ways. Choose an implementation to make it happen. Look at them and say, what can I do for this thing to make this happen? Make a commitment to that thing. And I would love to hear about it. If you're oh my gosh, this one totally worked for me and I finally did X, Y, Z, that would be amazing. Tell me in the comments or DM me, I don't care. I would love to hear that because I love hearing good news. Progress is amazing. So that would be great. But do that. Choose something. Make a commitment to at least the first step, right? Make a commitment to commit. Make a commitment to try to do it, to figure it out. So that is my challenge that I put to you this week. My second challenge would be to tell me about it because that'd be awesome. But again, they are investing, removing alternative choices and distractions, setting an event, meetings, schedule time, and habit stacking. So, and make it real. Like I said, I told you, I challenge you to do it, but write it down. Write it down. Something about writing it down, whether it's on paper or digitally, but there's something that changes. There's it's something that's just keeping it up here. Like, make it real. Put it physically into the universe. However that works for you, but just make it real by writing it down. Like, this is my thing I want to do. This is the thing I'm going to the way I'm going to choose to do it, and then do it, right? That's the final step. Then, like, follow through with that. So yes, amazing stuff. Forcing function, super awesome. It's a way to help you. I hope you found some goodies in this lesson, and if you like that, then definitely click that subscribe button and you'll be notified when the next lesson is up. And if you are an entrepreneur and you want to see how we take all of this stuff and we put it into our business building situations, then definitely follow me at TanyaMFK on Facebook and Instagram. And I will see you all next week. Have a good one. Bye.